Muy buenas, ¿qué tal estamos? Aquí volvemos en Sherlock. Holmes, ¿por qué esa bajada de FPS? Ok. Y vamos a continuar. A ver, he de decir. mm, Kurt Manchios, Turquoise Lane, frente a la abadía de Cordona, al norte de Gran Sarai. Joder. A ver, espérate. Gran Sarai, norte. Eh... Abadía de Cordona. Ah, ya lo. Frente a la abadía de Cordona. Vale, ok. Vale. No me acuerdo muy bien de... O sea, a ver, te quiero decir, salió God of War, así que paré la grabación de Sherlock Holmes. Y después de que me pasara God of War salió Elden Ring. Y bueno, pues también paré un poquito el tema o sea, que hace mucho que no grabo, vamos, en resumen. Así que no sé, no me acuerdo muy bien de los controles, no sé cómo va a salir esto, pero bueno. Sí que recuerdo que me invitaron como a una fiesta extraña. Teatro Legacy. Como mola. Vale.
Look, the cutest thing you'll see all day. Hamlet staged by children.
Aquellos chistes repentinos. No.
Oh, so it has taken root. What's taken root? As I recall, when we were growing up, this theatre didn't welcome kids.
You've forgotten, John. Come to the back entrance and I'll refresh your memory.
Entrada de atrás.
Yeah, I still see nothing.
You need to focus, my dear friend. Watch me.
Mm, Hay algo que no estoy haciendo bien, ¿verdad? Vale, que no tenía la pista. No tenía la pista fijada. La pista correcta. Ok.
Here was our glorious stage. Ring any bells?
Ah, we don't need to dwell on the past, Sherry.
And Hamlet's mother, Gertrude, taking poison. What was the name of that girl? Oh, Georgina, of course. She was our neighbour.
Oh, I remember her. She liked you.
And there you were, the best supporting actor. My silent scene partner, my Yorick. Your presence inspired me. And brought me to tears.
Yeah, it hurt to know that's all I could be. Inspiration. I couldn't even play the king's ghost. How's that for irony? To be or not to be? Indeed.
I know why you wanted to forget. The show forced you to confront your limits, except no one else would ever see you but me. Why do you think I cried? In the end, the audience was thrilled. I can still hear their roars after the final act.
You were so pleased with yourself when the theatre director came down to admire your work.
He applauded. A huge gesture from a man for whom children on stage was an anathema.
One small step for a man, one giant leap for students of the dramatic arts.
Childhood is a time of naivety. I cannot now imagine seeking a career as an actor, drinking wine all day and gaily treading the boards at night.
Yet you often pretend to be someone else in your search for the truth. You can't act like this side of you disappeared completely.
Quite. This, above all, to thine own self be true.
Vale, dineros, 15 de... Bueno, vale, espérate, voy a poner... Voy a volver a poner sacrificio. Me he equivocado, ahí. Continuamos. Frente a la abadía de Cordona, pues eso tiene pinta de abadía. F, está cerrado. Jo, ¿y aquí? ¡Oh! Es aquí. Mansión Manchos.
Welcome, sir. I do hope you enjoy yourself.
Enjoy the evening, sir. There is still plenty of time before the grand finale.
All right.
What if I write an article about these people here? Can you help me gather information about Cordona's elite?
What the fuck. Una fiesta muy turbia, imagino. Ah, espera. ¿A qué tengo que hablar? Para usar para escribir un artículo. Busque información que pueda. Patrono de un orfanato. ¿Cómo coño sé?
I'm so excited about the event.
You have such pretty hands. What can you do with them?
¿Cómo sé yo que este señor es patrón de un orfanato si va exactamente tapado? O sea, si va tapado completamente, ¿sabes? Duerme boca abajo. Claro, pero yo no...
You know what was here before Mancho's family bought it.
Hostia, ¿cómo era? ¿Qué botón era?
You know what was here before Mancho's family bought it. You know what was here before Mancho's family bought it.
Ah, con la X, hostia. Descubre la estremecedora historia de la mansión. Antes de pertenecer a la familia Manchos, la mansión era de un arquitecto ocultista. Dedicó su vida a realizar un poderoso ritual de un tomo olvidado, pero los círculos de ordenarse no son demasiado débiles. Podemos construir una mansión. Tal vez no moviendo muebles y no va a quedar bien que lo lea en voz alta. Paredes tienen
That's what I like about this party. Bring me more dirt, Sherry. One
Más
more piece,
porquería.
and I can expose these base hedonists. Curtains do not
Qué
guarantee
puto
privacy.
susto, tío, me has dado.
And you still need a crack, despite being ethereal.
I'm coming, Sherry. Just give me another second.
Digo yo que tendré que cotillear más conversaciones, ¿no? Supongo.
Sherlock! Friend! I wasn't sure you'd come.
¿Cómo me has reconocido?
Werner, I see you are not yourself.
The more time you spend here in Cordona, the more I feel it my duty to bring you into our world and show you all we have to offer.
And what is on offer today?
Pleasure, indulgence, relief, and relaxation. You've earned some time for yourself, have you not?
Those who know me would say I'm incapable of it.
Nonsense. I refuse to believe there is anyone permitted to know Sherlock Holmes.
You may be right.
Then free yourself from inhibition and expectation. The night is young, and so are the guests. You should try to enjoy both. It's not healthy for handsome men to spend every night alone, and certainly not in a house filled with such melancholic memories.
I must admit, my travels have proven more taxing than expected. I'm less confident in my life and myself. Time of relaxation seems a distant dream.
So can I tempt you with a physical aid to your moral consolations? There's wine, of course, and something to smoke, or perhaps an artificial paradise? Yes, something more spiritual, a potentiator to sharpen the mind. A 7% solution of, well, that'd be telling, but you must try it.
My mind is my most valuable asset and a finely tuned instrument I will not risk impeding its function. My ultimate duty is to provide the world with truth, and I do that perfectly well as is.
Duty? You've never cared about that before.
Of course I do. Exposing a lie, revealing a fact, that is a moral responsibility.
That's not morality. Morals are what happens afterwards when truth collides with consequence. Do you ever follow up on cases you solved? Do you ever see what happened next? Visit the victims? Ensure justice is served in the courts?
Leo los
And how do you
periódicos
choose
a
where
ver
to
qué ha
direct your
pasado al
attention?
final.
Are there not deserving causes to which your brilliance could be applied but isn't?
You ascribe me more power than I possess. I have a narrow skill set and work within that mandate. What occurs afterward is irrelevant.
With every action or inaction, you place a finger on the scales of morality. Many in the city would see you as abdicating your responsibility.
I haven't.
Not me, of course. Morality is subjective, just like truth. There is little to be gained from indulging in it, and far better things to indulge in. Now I must insist on easing any burdens I've placed upon your shoulders. Show yourself a kindness, and try this rather delectable concoction.
¿Mejor me lo llevo para estudiarlo?
If this solution truly does assist with thinking, then perhaps it would be puerile to overlook an opportunity to study it. I'll take it with me.
Yes, Sherlock. Very good. And now, our evening begins in earnest. I just remembered. I'm sorry, Sherlock. My mind's delightfully impaired. Please take this key. It opens the altar room, past the library.
Pardon? Altar room? What now, Werner?
Go quickly and find our Fabio. Only you can make him talk. I'll join you in a minute.
Vale, ya he cogido la llave, supongo. ¿Qué estáis haciendo, guarros?
Nancho's had to enforce the masks after the scandal.
Escándalo. La gente describe un escándalo de la fiesta anterior. Otro esposa del vicegobernador con los mozos. Cordona y Prusia, aunque todo...
I'll pin them down, Biscoop. Thank you, Sherlock.
Perfecto. Vale, espérate. Voy a poner... ¡Ay, la puta! Vale. Jo.
My God. Was he here this whole time?
This crude tattoo partially covers as slave branding. A blunt force trauma may have suffered an internal hemorrhage. This golden handle has a bloodstain on it. The dagger is heavy and sharp, but lacks balance. This worm-like sigil has been drawn with his own blood. The wound is deep. A precise strike reached the heart.
Tío, ¿dónde tenía este señor el corazón? A ver, no soy médico, pero yo diría que ahí. Espérate.
The victim has clenched the fabric so firmly in his fist that it's nigh impossible to remove it. He died right here.
Hola. Esto cuando he llegado.
The sign reminds me of the astrological symbol for Mars. This one looks like a twisted symbol of Venus, drawn in a hurry. This oil has a slight aroma of flowers and olive. The ointment smells mouse-like. I presume it is an aphrodisiac prepared from a Spanish fly. This elaborate box must be for the ritual dagger. The herbs here are Salvia divinorum. They have a slight hallucinogenic effect to emphasize the ceremony.
Bueno.
Werner, care to explain what is going on here?
On nights like these, it's not unusual for some attendees to get a little exuberant. It's part of the appeal. Unfortunately, it appears things have gotten out of hand. Yes, some are more prone to bend the rules of morality.
That's murder. I doubt there's anything left to bend. Why did you not tell me immediately? We were chatting about trivial matters for some time.
If I'm completely honest, Sherlock, I've consumed a rather potent cocktail of substances. My attention slips and drifts. But I'm glad I thought to call for you.
You sent me a disguise.
Oh dear, did I? Well, since I found the body, Mr. Manchios has agreed that you can investigate the matter. I promise my mind will behave itself going forward.
All right. Pull yourself together, Werner.
Hostia.
What is it about these nights that you were so eager to share with me?
Well, they're not always in the evenings, but they are in the shadows. People gather to test their boundaries in a safe and consensual atmosphere, often with more stains than your typical crime scene. But that is the point. Who are we to judge?
I suppose that's fair. What about today, then? Was anything different?
Well, I was invited as a special guest. It was supposed to be a time of both divine and carnal pleasures. A scratch for every unconventional itch.
I imagine you're reeling from your shattered expectations.
On the contrary, there is still spectacle, stimulation, and release, merely in a different form. I like to let life entertain me.
Or death. Mr. Manchos is the owner of the manor, yes?
And the host of Cordona's most memorable parties. He promises even the ugliest guest a partner for the night. And for the ones with more unconventional tastes, Mr. Manchios provides other services.
What a caring person.
You cannot begin to imagine.
How did you discover the body? In between guzzles of alcohol?
I was set to perform in a fecundity rite with Fabio and came to inquire further. It was a staged ritual where he was to play the principle of life.
And the rehearsal was unsuccessful?
Who knows? I found him alone on the altar, his blood dripping to the floor.
And then?
Then I called Mr. Manchios. He was panicking, so I told him about you. We left the room and locked the door. Then we were...
Filling time?
Waiting for you was stressful. We indulged in some simple comforts. Overindulged, perhaps.
Were you well acquainted with Fabio, the victim?
Everyone knew Fabio, or wanted to. His beauty was the talk of the island. Too handsome to go unnoticed. He was magnetic. Fat wallets fought for the privilege of having him. He offered the pleasures of performance, and more.
What about the fertility ritual? There was something about Fabio being a principle of life.
Fabio was supposed to portray the beauty of life's origin. Flowers, oil. Not this travesty that seems straight out of the Inquisition.
So this ritual is not the fertility rite. What was it meant to look like?
It begins with a woman lying naked in a flower bed on the altar. She represents Gaia, the earth. As I cover her in oils, we chant for the principle. As our calls reach a climax, Fabio enters and copulates with her. After he finishes, I stab her with a dagger. That part's just pretend, of course.
But the intercourse is not?
I did not expect you to be such a prude. Are you a virgin? It is nothing to be ashamed of, but it would explain the color of your cheeks. The fertility rite marks the start of our festivities. The principle of life is beautiful, intimate, essential. It must not be stopped.
Yet it appears that someone did stop it. What about the naked woman? Can you tell me anything about her?
Oh yes, Matista. She's one of Fabio's compatriots and a performer too. I haven't seen her today, actually.
When you discovered the body, was the door open?
No, it was locked. Oh, that reminds me. It's a minor detail, but the first time I came to speak to Fabio, I left without entering, having been unable to open the door.
You didn't have the key?
No, I had it. Don't look at me like that. I was mostly sober. I
Hostia.
suspect there was a key in the other side of the door, blocking the lock.
That detail may very well be major, Werner. Well done. So you returned later only to find the lock was not blocked?
Correct. After an hour had passed, I tried again and was able to unlock the door. That's when I discovered poor, handsome Fabio.
The police remain unaware of this tragic event?
Some of them may be hiding behind their masks. We can
Hostia.
see many things. But we didn't want the authorities to create more problems. Besides, after a few cocktails, their incompetence will have soared to new heights.
How do you know I even want the case?
I promised you relaxation. If there's one thing I know about you, Sherlock, it's that nothing soothes you more than a good mystery.
Vale, 2 pistas actualizadas. Lo invitó un invitado especial. izquierda está Fabio murió aquí. Sí. La sangre de la víctima.
Enough cigars to burn down the entire mansion.
Sangre.
An open wound spoiled the carpet.
Más sangre.
Blood. A sturdy bottle met a not so sturdy human.
Oh.
It didn't break only because it was unopened. Why don't people tidy up after themselves? Identical to the robes the guests are wearing. The pitcher is empty, but with puddles around it. Blood
Más
clots
sangre.
adhered to the sides of the drain.
Alguien se limpió aquí.
This is a different ritual.
Libreto. Esto es lo que me ha dicho Vogel.
How can anyone accept such behavior?
Vale. Ahí.
A useful tool for a disguise arsenal. Handcrafted and luxurious cufflinks. There's also a note. For my Fabio, Manchos.
Pero Manchios y Fabio no era el mismo. O sea, ¿what? Me estoy perdiendo. Me estoy empezando a liar un poco.
Would you recognize me in one of these? I suppose not.
Pensaba que Fabio y Manchos era el mismo.
The key is similar to the one that Vogel gave me. The capital F on the key fob might refer to Fabio. Similar
Hostia.
to the guests' robes, apart from the bloodstains. Props, decorations, and tools for a more detailed set.
Vale. Por aquí ya no hay nada más, ¿no? Entonces, Vale, a ver las pistas. Claro, es verdad, espérate. Es verdad. Un rastro. Efectivamente.
The wounded person was here for some time. A bloody handprint on an armchair. A person leaned against the doorframe. They left a smudged trail of blood. There appear to be no further traces leading to the altar.
So, Sherry, do you have any ideas about the case?
Perhaps. I think I can deduce what happened here.
Bueno. No. No. Aquí, esto. No, aquí fue la botella. Ahí sí. No. El asesino sí. No. El asesino sí.
You're not even trying.
Mierda.
Concentrate.
Espera, puede ser. Tiene que ser. No. Esto es el asesino. Vale. Esto es lo que me falla. Él no se arrastró. Esto sí. Sí.
The bottle was used as a weapon during a scuffle in the smoking lounge. Then, to ensure no one would interrupt, the murderer locked the door. The unconscious body of the victim was moved to the altar room. Once the body was on the altar, the murderer thrust the dagger into the victim's heart. Symbols were drawn with the blood. The wardrobe was used to hide the bloodied robe from anyone's eyes. The killer washed himself and took a clean robe from the hanger before leaving.
Are you all right? You're on the floor, not moving.
I think I know what happened here.
Palacio de la mente, a ver. Esos que abren la sala del altar. ¿Durante un ring? No. Yo creo que no, Para el verdadero móvil del asesinato. Esto me cuadra más. Vale. Vale, eso por un lado. Y por este...
I'm starting to put the pieces together.
Fabio was stabbed.
I see nothing gets past you, Vernon. Yes, he was stabbed, but only after being knocked out in the next room and placed here. I do not yet know why.
So, who's responsible?
Well, it was one person working alone, and the murderer has now donned a robe. He or she could be hiding in plain sight. We have lost time, Werner, but your discretion may prove to be a benediction after all. The murderer had to have access to this room. After the crime, he used his own key to lock the door. So, who had the key to the altar room?
I'm not sure. As a special guest, I was provided one by Mr. Manchios. He should be able to tell you of any others.
Where can I find him?
Most likely in the main hall, entertaining his guests. He has a mask with golden stars. You can't miss him. But please be discreet. We don't want to risk disturbing the revelry.
Ah, o sea que... Ah. Entonces, vale. Pensaba que Manchios era el mismo. Ah, no, claro, es Cartmanchus. Entonces Fabio... Vale. Pensaba que era el apellido de Fabio. Vale, pues anda que voy de culo entonces. Ok. Espérate. Marca esta. Una máscara dorada con estrellas. Máscara dorada con estrellas. Había uno ahí arriba asomado, ¿no? Al principio. O me ha parecido. La máscara dorada con estrellas. Y aún está nervioso. Tú tienes estrellas, ¿eres tú?
I need a rest from my
No.
insatiable wife.
A ver, máscara dorada. Los únicos que llevan máscara dorada son los camareros o estos, ¿no? Terraplanista, joder. Señor.
I'm so excited about the event.
Kurt Manchios, I presume? I'm Sherlock Holmes.
Oh, you
Sí.
must be the one Werner told me about. What a sweet voice you have. It must belong to a handsome young man. Can I call you Sherlock?
As you wish, Mr. Manchios. Mr. Vogel asked me to help you. The body in the altar room requires answers, and quickly. I suspect the murderer to still be here.
What? Lower your voice. I don't want anyone to hear us.
Did you know Fabio well?
People are starting to look at us, Sherlock. Change the subject. I can't believe what happened to him. To me. Such an atrocity. Think what it means for me. A wonderful evening for so many good, influential, and rich people has been ruined. I have betrayed all my promises of exotic delights.
I don't understand. Surely a murder would affect your reputation to a greater extent.
Please, isn't this why you are here? I thought you were a silent magician. Do your tricks and make it go away.
I need to find all those who had the key to the altar room. As far as I know, Mr. Vogel, Fabio, and you had access to it. Is that correct?
That is correct, yes. Also, Matista and Santos.
Santos? Who is that?
Santos Pinchetti, my major domo. In his opinion, at least.
I'd like to speak to Mr. Pinchetti and Matista. Do you have somewhere I might have a private conversation with them?
Of course, of course. Let me think. Matista is entertaining the guests somewhere, and Santos... Oh, yes. He will be busy with the servants. Or the cook. What's that noise?
¿Eh?
What's going on? Freeze, filth. You're under arrest.
What the fuck? Pero... Ah, que me han arrestado... Espera, que me han arrestado a mí, espera. Ah, bueno, a todos, me imagino. ¿Qué cojones?
It's you. Committed a crime, and now I have to free you, kiss your hand, and apologize for the inconvenience. You're great.
I did tell you that Mr. Vogel and I were innocent. I emphasized it in my statement.
Your statement? Thanks to some bigwigs who work for the so-called good of the country by releasing fleas like you. Thank God we have Vogel in this letter. Once I get to that goldfish, I'll...
Bigwig? Oh, my wretched brother Mycroft and his long nose.
Wait, did you say Mycroft? Mycroft Holmes? Are you the youngest son of Violet Holmes, rest her soul?
You knew my mother?
Not personally, no. Not exactly. I was working on the paperwork for that case.
Would you happen to remember anything of the events?
Well, I didn't make the inquiry, but I remember seeing some notes. Why?
Perhaps we can negotiate. I could be quite useful.
Huh. Got you hooked, right? You know what? Stark and the others think they're the smartest here, thanks to you. Let me get this straight. Are you listening to me, lad?
I'm all ears.
Take this case. Report to me only, to Constable Harvey Oswald. I'll leave everything I have on this table. Find the murderer. Be a real copper. Question the suspects, make them sing, give me something substantial.
And if Mr. Vogel is not a suspect?
If he's innocent, then you can take your favourite degenerate away from here. If you slip or mess with the evidence, then trust me, your brother won't save you from my bludgeon. Meanwhile, I'll be checking the archive for you. If anybody asks, then you're a consulting detective.
Let's make a start then, partner.
Perfecto.
I'm glad we managed to get the scoop before the raid.
El testigo del ritual satánico de la redena está garantizada. 20 años, artista local. Llevaba el arma del crimen, vale. Vale.
Back on track to solve the case.
No. Mientras que el testigo se marchó a casa. Oh. Perfecto. Entonces, a ver, Palacio de la Mente. No. Mencionó en su declaración. Vale.
I found Werner.
Ok, pero... Espérate, hostia, pero ¿cómo de grande va a ser esto?
Good day, Mr. Manchios. I am Constable Oswald's partner in this investigation.
Be quick and gentle. Some of your colleagues are untrained boors. Although I don't mind meeting young officers. The new blood here.
If you cooperate in finding Fabio's murderer, there will be no need to meet with the Boers again.
That voice. Werner's friend? You're the policeman. What a disappointment.
Only an undercover agent can scour a ditch full of deviants. I am a consulting detective, although I'm capable of replacing the entire department through my consultations.
Sharp-tongued, I like it. May I presume this tongue will get us out of this trouble? I would be so indebted and glad to repay you.
Nothing's changed. I'm looking for the murderer. That's the only way to get us out of trouble.
But it shouldn't take much time, correct? We're all busy after all.
I need to examine you first.
Llevo maquillaje. Ok. Las manos no me dicen nada. Sí, sí, sí. Se lavó las manos con prisa. Exposición al tinte de pelo. Carísimos.
You are a little over the top with your use of makeup, Mr. Manchios. Is it so difficult for you to acknowledge your age?
Well, Sherlock, that's easy for you to say to an old man when you look as though you are barely 15.
But still, it shouldn't be an issue for someone of your status.
For people of my age, it isn't an issue, no. But the younger ones can be so afraid of wrinkles and grey flecks. I have to adapt.
Such a methodical man who cares for his body but misses the soap under his fingernails. Are you so impatient, or perhaps even impulsive?
I wouldn't call myself that. Silly little details. If I missed it, it wasn't important. Or rather, it was less important than who or what I was focused on.
Más sobre...
Mr. Vogel told me a little about your parties, but I would like to know more directly from you.
I'm all yours, Sherlock. You have me arrested and locked here with you.
Este es el... este es el tal Mancho. Vale, joder, es que me lío, tío, con los putos nombres.
Why did you invite Mr. Vogel as your special guest?
He's a pretty fellow. He's capable of surprising the public. He has a talent for saying words that no one else would wish to either say or hear.
I suppose I can't argue with that.
He is a free addition to the eccentricity of the party, which is fine by me, as long as it enhances my party.
I'd like to know who you usually invite to your parties.
Free minds who are able to leave reality for an evening, who can taste forbidden fruit without prejudice. There is nothing that quite spices up life like these parties, assuming one is old enough and has worked many years for the good of one's country.
Oh, all true labourers, I see. What was Fabio like? His personality, his habits? Anything you can tell me?
He was the brightest star of my parties. Young, magnetic, and full of energy. I don't even want to mention his beauty. Otherwise, I'll be sobbing.
An expensive champion, I imagine.
His performances were flawless. He deserved his payment. Do you think he was murdered because of money?
Possibly. What about the other guests? Were they used to opening their wallets as well?
I wouldn't restrict my guests from anything. I'm sure Fabio received a few coins from others for his services. You'd better ask someone else.
No, llave...
I've no idea about that.
Momentito. Segundo,
I appreciate your cooperation, Mr. Manchios. Wait just a moment, I have something to check.
Santos o sospechoso, declaración de testigo. Vogel en prisión, resguardo de pruebas. Gemelos de regalo.
You bought an expensive pair of cufflinks for Fabio. Were they his price? Or were they a tip for an exclusive show?
It was pure business. Fabio escorted me a few times. I was merely showing my gratitude.
This pair cost a small fortune. You must be extremely grateful then. Tell me more.
You've thrust a knife in an exposed nerve, Sherlock. Yes, he was my protege and my beacon also. With my experience and his beauty, we could have achieved anything. I had faith in him. I would have made him.
Cierra los caros a Fabio.
I've no idea about that.
¿Qué otra mierda declaración del...
Do you have any idea who tipped off the police to raid your mansion, Mr. Manchios?
Of course. It was you. I could even say you Sherlocked me in here.
A good guess, but the wrong one. The fellow who did that was Mr. Pinchetti, your major domo.
What? Santos? But how could he even know? If he's not the murderer himself. The ungrateful swine. He has dared to besmirch my reputation.
Not a very eloquent choice of words.
What should I call him then, since he's a snitch? Make him talk, Sherlock. I'm quite certain he knows more about the murder than he has told the police.
No me deja más pistas con este, ¿no? Parece ser.
I can't wrap my head
vale,
around
okay.
such a tragedy at my party.
I'm Sherlock Holmes. I'm helping Constable Oswald. You are Matista, Fabio's friend.
This body, yes, it's Matista. But it's a mere shell that will die someday. Just like Fabio.
Please accept my condolences for your friend.
Thank you.
I'm just here to ask questions and find Fabio's murderer.
It will not bring Fabio back.
Una marca en el cuello. Cardenales. Tatuaje ocultista. Se tatúa a sí mismo. ¡Hostia! ¿De esclava también? ¿O... Joder. He leído lo común. A ver ahora esto que cambia. Se castiga por el pasado disociada de su cuerpo. Símbolos ocultistas. Hombre, la forma en la que me hablaba antes de solo soy un cascarón, tío.
Fabio and yourself were slaves, am I correct? You have a similar branding on your body.
Yes. It was a long time ago.
Couldn't help but also notice fresh cuts upon your forearms.
The cuts helped me to forget my past, to cover the old wounds and hide them.
How did you escape?
Something happened. One night the master fell down the stairs. I made him fall, and he died. We ran away that day. We managed to get on a ship and traveled here, to Sodoma. Fabio and I started a new life here. It was very hard at first, but it became better with time. Until today.
The bruises on your neck are not self-inflicted. Someone else made them.
Some guests can't contain themselves. They even bite, sometimes. I know I can handle the news.
Esto está... Perdón. Esto está llenísimo de sangre, chaval.
Werner, are you all right?
Oh, yes, yes. Everything's fine. In fact, it's something of a family reunion.
Joder.
My brother spent quite some time in this place himself.
You should not be here. I told the police everything I knew, but they refused to let you go. They require proof to free you.
Ha! What did you expect? The mighty Sherlock Holmes swans in, tells the officers what to think, and the world obeys?
Of course not. Anyway, I struck a deal with the constable, and I've got a free hand in the investigation. I find proof to solve the case for him. He obtains files about my mother's death for me.
Well done. If one has the power or will and can act, then one must. I wonder, suppose you couldn't get the proof to your truth. Would you tell a lie to the guard that enabled my freedom, knowing my innocence? Would that not be just?
There are lines I will not cross, Werner. I will do my best to secure your release, but with proof, not deception.
Really? How many white lies have you told on this island? Why not for me? Why not another?
That is absurd. I can resolve this without compromises. Do not give up hope.
A ver.
I don't think I can tell you anything about this. I can't follow you
Espérate, espérate.
Let me see what I can do
Espérate
about all this.
un momentito, espérate, a ver. Santos es sospechoso. A marcar esto.
I have learned who told the police about the crime. It was Santos Pinchetti,
Do I know him?
the major domo of the manor. He cleans up after you.
Well, then he does his job perfectly. All but invisible. I couldn't tell you the first thing about him. I know you can untangle this mess.
Vale. Entonces. Ir por aquí. No. What? Espérate.
This area is restricted.
No me estoy enterando. ¿Dónde coño tengo que ir? Sobre la mesa. Ah, sí, pero eso ya lo he cogido.
Help me, please.
A solid question, sir, but I don't have the answer.
Did you hear Basilio Coppello is in jail? A dead body was found in his shoulder.
Muerto en la caja fuerte.
Did you hear
Muerto en la caja fuerte y compañía no sé qué Copelo. En la caja fuerte, escándalo.
Wow, did you catch that, Sherry? I didn't. Better listen more closely.
Did you hear Basilio?
Vale. Han hallado muerto a un hombre llamado Nico Lodetti dentro de la caja fuerte del establecimiento de Basilio. Basilio dice que si no, está detenido en los calabozos de la comisaría.
Police. Let's pretend to be cops, eh? We can just stand around and look confused.
¡Ah, la chisma de pruebas! Hola.
Good day. Your ticket, please, if you want me to help you.
Bien.
I'd like to check the evidence from this case.
And who are you?
Oswald sent me. I'm a consulting detective.
His partner, then? Let me see. Ah, a ritual murder. What a bunch of degenerates. Wait a second. I'll bring it to the table.
Hostia. A ver.
An emergency kit for boredom.
Está bien de la cabeza, no puedo controlar la amargura, al menos no cuando yo estoy cerca. Pero no, usted me paga, pero no me ha comprado. La caja de pruebas de Vogel. De Fabio.
Not the time for privacy. It's a miracle this ruby hasn't tempted anyone.
Hostia. Ahí.
All the keys of the mansion on one golden ring. A heavily perfumed handkerchief with the initials KM in the corner.
Vale, el Kurt, Mike. El jefe, el líder, el dueño.
That's not for bedtime reading. Her key to the altar room. A handcrafted charm that contains hair and nail clippings. Werner's personal sketchbook.
Ah, que me faltaba
This
esto.
ex-libris belongs to Manchios Library.
El poder... Prepara el cuerpo desnudo del objeto de interés recientemente fallecido. Dibuja símbolos de Marte y Venus para amplificar el poder que posees. Para... Corazón con una daga de oro. Un símbolo representando tu amor. Mientras esperas la resurrección, recita el cántico.
The book describes a ritual similar to the one performed in the altar room. Thank you, officer.
What the fuck? ¡Hostia! Vale. Durante su pelea, Fabio magulló a Matista. Es lo que había pensado. La víctima a lo mejor, sí y tal, pero claro. A Matista la magullaron los invitados. Las brutales interacciones con los invitados de la fiesta. Es posible también. Eso ahí no cuadra. Esto ahí sí. Se preparó para el desenfreno. O se aseó después del asesinato. Vale, de momento lo vamos a dejar aquí. En el próximo ya continuaremos. Por el momento lo vamos a dejar aquí. Así que lo dicho. Gracias y hasta luego.